Hello, my name is Rachel and I'm here today to do the A-Z of LGBT books. So I'm doing this because it's Pride this month and gay content, gay videos, always fun. I've seen quite a few of these. I'll try and link some down below that I've really enjoyed. George Lester's was pretty good. I saw Cats and Camera do one recently and that's kind of why I ended up doing it, because I remember seeing it ages ago and just forgetting that it existed. So the first disclaimer that I want to say is that I've gone off anything. So I think there's ones where I've done the title, there's one where I've done the letter of the first name, and there's one where I've done the letter of the second name. There are 2 or 3 books that I'm currently reading. 2 or 3 books that I've not read, unfortunately, but they fit the challenges. Some books that I didn't like, so I will tell you about those if I didn't like them. And also for X, Y, and Z, I had nothing. So I just picked some books that I really like that are gay. So I'm going to get straight into it because obviously there's a lot of books here. So the first letter is A, and that's for Alison Bechdel. This is Funhome by Alison Bechdel, which is a graphic memoir. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm definitely hoping to reread it this month for Pride because I've only read it once. It has this like blue wash on it that's absolutely beautiful, and it has a lot of literature in it, which I really enjoyed because obviously booktube, books, literature, great. This is A. For B, we have Becky Albertalli with Simon versus the Homosapien Gender. This was the book that made me like, oh, LGBT books make me feel accepted, and so I should read more of them. So reading this book was quite a momentous occasion, so kind of had to be here. Obviously, this is about Simon. Simon is blackmailed at school because someone finds out he is gay because they find his emails to a boy called Blue who you don't know, and this is what Love, Simon was based on. Then for C, we have the fantastic, the beautiful masterpiece to me personally, because I know it isn't to a lot of other people, that is Call Me By Your Name by Aciman. I loved this book. I loved the relationships in it. I loved the writing style. I love how the writing style reflects like the protagonist's age and all of that sort of stuff. I just think it's beautiful and I love it. This is basically about Elio. Elio lives in like a summery type house, and every summer his parents invite someone to stay with them, like a professor, to study at their home. And this year Oliver comes to stay, and Elio and Oliver have some feelings for each other. So there's this one, which is great. Next we have a book that I don't have a physical copy of, but I absolutely love. I finished it about 2 days ago and it's just like sticking up there. And it is Disobedience by Naomi Alderman. So I tried reading The Power by Naomi Alderman, could not really get into it, but Disobedience, I'm all there for. This is a fantastic book about 2 women. One of them seems kind of bisexual, one of them seems to be a lesbian, but it's never really like put down on paper like this is what they are. And basically they are from an Orthodox Jewish community and they had a relationship as young girls. One of the girls then moved away, she was living in New York, and her father dies and she moves back to where this community is, and obviously she's like the girl who left the community and wears weird clothes and like does the things you're not supposed to do, and it's all about like how the community reacts to her and these 2 girls finding each other again, and it's just really enjoyed it. It's absolutely brilliant. Also would highly recommend the film. I watched the film first. It's the one with Rachel McAdams and Rachel Weisz in it. On reading the book, I can tell you how amazing the film adaptation is. I think they did a really, really good job. For E, we have Emily M. Danforth, and this is the first book that I haven't read. This is The Miseducation of Cameron Post, and I have started reading it. I am 49 pages into it, but it wasn't hooking me, and so yeah, I'm hoping to get back into it and get hooked. That would be great. This is about a girl who is found kissing a prom queen, and so she is sent to a conversion camp for the summer in 1993, and it's all about that going on. So F is for Fingersmith by Sarah Waters, because I feel like can you even do this list if you don't put Sarah Waters in it? Not in my eyes. This is the only Sarah Waters book that I've read thus far. I'm hoping to read Affinity this month. I think it's going to be a moment. I think it's going to be great. But yeah, this is the only one I've read so far. I loved it. I thought it was such a fantastic read. It's really nice to read Sarah Waters books because obviously there aren't a lot of classics in the LGBT genre because, you know, people don't like us, and so we don't really get to be a part of history. But that's one of the reasons that I love historical fiction, because it's like you kind of get the classic that you want that's like got an LGBT story too, because a lot of her books are written in like Victorian times, and I really like Victorian classics, so it's like a good middle ground for me to still be able to read books I like that have LGBT characters. The thing is, I feel like I can't really explain this book in any way, shape or form, because it took me so by surprise, and I think it took me so by surprise because I hadn't watched many like reviews or people talking about it. So I would rather just like not say anything, because I think it's so good when you get the surprise. You're just like, what? Where the fuck did that come from? That's how I felt anyway. For G, we have something that directly contradicts everything that I just said, but that's fine because I'm so glad it was published. And it is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. It's still just, I don't understand how this book was published. I'm so glad it was. It's fantastic. But the fact that like a black gay man in the 1950s, I think this was published, like it was published. Like how did that get out there? Like I don't understand. I'm so glad that it did. It has a very explicit male-male relationship in here. Like it's not like with Picture of Dorian Gray where you kind of get the vibe, but you know, he doesn't put it down in text because you can't. This is pretty explicit, so I just always surprises me that it was published. It is about a guy who is engaged to a girl. Basically, she's traveling. He basically finds like a gay club and makes friends with people there and has an affair with a man called Giovanni, and then it's all about like what comes of that and him and his sexual orientation, his relationships and that sort of thing. It is beautiful. There's a reason it's such a like big staple in LGBT fiction. H is for Harry Connor, and this is a graphic novel called Finding Home. This is volume 1, The Traveller. The second one isn't out yet because this one had a Kickstarter for it, and the Kickstarter for volume 2 has just started. I saw that recently come up. These are beautifully published, by the way, like amazingly. And this is a slow burn romance, travel-y kind of fantasy type book. And it is really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. And the illustrations are beautiful. And we have bigger characters. We have characters of colour. And obviously we have queer characters. And it's very good. Like I said, very slow burn. Like extreme. Almost to the point where I'm like, okay, come on. But at the same time, like, still amazing, and like I can forgive all the slow burn because I'm enjoying it so much. I is for Meredith Russo's If I Was Your Girl, which is about a girl called Amanda who goes to a new school. It's all about her interacting with her classmates and boys for the first time and family. She moves back to live with her father. At the same time as this is going on, you find out that she's trans, and you realise like all the stuff that's going on internally is to do with the fact that like she doesn't accept herself, so she keeps like putting it on everyone else that they don't accept her, but they don't actually know about her, so she doesn't technically know if they accept her. It's a very, very, very well done book, and one of my favourite things about it is that it doesn't use the fact that she's trans as a literary device. She just happens to be trans. Like, it's really good. So for J, we have another book that I don't have a copy of, unfortunately. I listened to it on Audible, but it is Just Juliet by Charlotte Reagan. I absolutely love this book. It's so cute. We have FF romances, we have MM romances, we have gay characters, lesbian characters, bisexual characters, and we have like accepting parents, like a really good example of just like accepting parents who are just like really okay with their kids being queer, which is just not something that you ever see. So it was really, really sweet, and I love it. I often compare it to like a female Simon vs. Homosapien agenda, which, who doesn't want that? It's beautiful. I love it. I would highly recommend it if you haven't read it. Then we have K, which is for Kate Tempest. This is not the only book that's got some queer stuff in it, but this is my favourite. This is Running Upon the Wires, which is a poetry collection, and we basically follow a female-female relationship. We start at the end, and then you have the middle, and then you have the beginning. That's how the poetry collection is split up. It's an absolutely wonderful poetry collection. It isn't a difficult one to read. It's just really well done. I really enjoyed it. Look at all these tabs for poems that I loved in here. Like, it is so good. For L, we have Let the Right One In by Ajvide Lindqvist. I always think I say that wrong, so I'm sorry if I did. This book, just no one ever talks about it in terms of like queer stuff, and I get it. Like, I get that there's no like orientation stuff in here, and like I get why people don't mention it, but at the same time, like I just think it's really cool how it plays with gender. So basically, there is a character in here who you never find out if they're a boy or a girl. So everyone in my class at university said that this person's name was Ellie, but when I read the book, I was constantly thinking that the name was Eli. And so already, like, Eli's more a boy's name, Ellie's more a girl's name. As you're reading it, it constantly switches between pronouns for he and she. And apparently that is because in the original language, which I think is Swedish, yes it is, in the original Swedish, they have a pronoun that includes both genders. And apparently that's the reason that there's a mix of like he and she, because the translator wasn't like sure how to get it across, which I think is beautiful. And yeah, like, it's just a really interesting play of gender that I just think is really, really cool. And so, like, I always mention this book because I think it's brilliant. It's also an amazing horror story. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. It is fantastic. Next we have M, and M is for Moonstone by Sian. Again, not sure how to say. I think, yes, this is Icelandic, winner of the Icelandic Literary Prize. Ooh. This is, again, historical fiction. Like I said, I like reading historical fiction when it's to do with like LGBT people. And in this, we basically follow a boy called Manny, who, like, kind of a prostitute. I feel like it's very clear that he's a prostitute in this, but I don't know how much it actually, like, says that he is a prostitute. I don't know. Like, you get the vibe anyway. I don't really know what you would term him. He has a lot of male relationships in this book, and so I feel like there's like a leaning towards calling him gay, but he also is like really fascinated by a girl in this, so really unsure. Sorry about the dog, my dad must be getting home. And this is basically set during the Spanish influenza, and we kind of have all that going on at the same time. It's a very short book, but it kind of like packs a punch in a really cool way. Next we have N, which is for Nina LaCour. This is Everything Leads to You. This is one of the books that I haven't read, unfortunately, but I am hoping to read it this month for Pride because it sounds amazing. This is a contemporary romance book that features an FF relationship, so I'm very interested, and apparently it's super cute, and I've heard it compared to Just Juliet, which, you know, if you want to rewind, I was quite fond of. Hoping to read that one. This is about someone who like goes to LA to live in her brother's flat for a while, and then, I don't know, she ends up in love with someone who is female, I'm guessing. Then we have O, which is for a book that I love. Just the premise of it existing makes me so happy, and it is Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Colthurst. I will say there's a second book which I think already came out to this, which I haven't read and I really need to pick up. This is a fantasy that features an FF relationship. The thing that I love about this the most is that it just sounds like such a good story, and I don't understand why it doesn't get done more. So basically there is a princess and she is betrothed to a prince from another kingdom, and so she is sent to that other kingdom, and she starts to spend more and more time with the princess, the sister of the prince, and, you know, they have some feelings, and it's cute. There's also a really cool magic system in this book that I really, really enjoyed. So yeah, hopefully going to pick up the second one of this very soon. P is for The Perks of Being a Wallflower. This is by Stephen Chbosky. This is one of the first books that, like, I read that had a gay character in, and I like knew they were gay and like recognised it, because I think I read this when I was like 14 or something. And this is about Charlie who's like writing letters to someone, and you kind of find out about his life and stuff. There's a lot of mental health things in here. There's abuse in here as well. But there is a gay character who I absolutely loved, and I remember loving it because it has loads about the Rocky Horror Picture Show in this, and I used to love Rocky Horror when I was a kid. Like, I think my parents took me to see it when I was like 12 or 13. It was amazing. Reading about it in a book when I was so obsessed with it made me really, really happy. So this is great. Next we have another book that I haven't read yet, unfortunately, but hoping to read this month because apparently that's my catchphrase for this video, and it is Q for Queer, a Graphic History. This is by Meg John Barker and Juliet Shale, and this just looks super cool. It's kind of like a textbook mixed with a graphic novel, and it's just all about like important stuff in queer history. So it's got like the heterosexual matrix, the panopticon, queer theory is born, after Stonewall, HIV, AIDS and activism, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm really excited to get into this, find out some stuff, because I don't actually know like a hell of a lot about queer history, so reading some of it sounds like fun. Next we have R, which is for Rose and Rosie. This is Overshare. Will be honest, this is less here for this specific book and more here for Rose and Rosie specifically, because I just have found them amazing. It's very difficult sometimes if you're in female-female relationships and you are bisexual to like picture your future and not picture a man, because that's what happens in everything. That's what happens in all the movies you watch and all the Disney films. You like train to think you're gonna marry a man at some point. And so one of the problems that I found when I was going out with someone for quite a while and I thought we were going to be together, but I would still look in my future and think of like, oh no, but I'll have a husband, which is just crazy. And it was because I didn't actually see any happily married female couples anywhere. What I mean is, like, I know that you can see like people sometimes, like Ellen and Portia, very happily married, and there's quite a few other people, but you don't like see into their lives. And so seeing into Rose and Rosie's life is really nice. Like, it makes me think like, okay, so you can like marry a woman and be fine, and that is amazing. So that's the main reason that this is here. Less of this book though. This book is phenomenal. I really did enjoy it. It's more here for them in general and the effect that they've had, which is a great one, and I love them. Next is S, and for S we have Silvera, because I cheated, for Adam Silvera, and this is History Is All You Left Me. This is my favourite of Adam Silvera's books that I've read, barring one that he wrote with someone else that I will mention in a minute. This is the first one that I read by him, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it as I was reading it. The further and further I've got away from it, the more I like it, and the more I'm like, I want to reread it, because I actually really like it in hindsight as well. This follows a guy whose ex-boyfriend has just died. He basically like goes to the funeral and meets the current boyfriend of his ex-boyfriend, and things happen. There's some great mental health stuff in here, some great queer rep in here, and I just enjoy it. It's a very good story. It's a very easy read in terms of like, you can get through it fast, and it's definitely the best book by Adam Silvera that I've read. Okay, so the next book got moved around a lot because there was no way I could make this video without putting it in, but I didn't know like where to slot it in. So it ended up in T for the, even though you don't normally count there. But this is The 100 Nights of Hero by Isabel Greenberg, which I adore. This is based on 1,000 Arabian Nights, 100 Arabian Nights. I have no idea what that book's called, but it's something about Arabian Nights. And basically someone like tells a lot of stories. This is based on that. We have Hero and Cherry, these two lovely ladies on the front. One of them has a husband, and the husband says to his mate, I bet you my wife would never cheat on me, like she'd never sleep with anyone, she's not even slept with me. If I leave you for 100 nights, see if you can get her to sleep with you. So she's been sleeping with her handmaid, who she is in love with. They're like panicking, like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? But this girl is really good at telling stories, and so they decide to tell this man a story every single night to try and like ward him off like actually sleeping with her. I love this book. I've read it like 2 or 3 times now, and every single time it's just been magical and wonderful and made me to the point of crying with happiness. Like, it's a cute one. For You, we have a book that I was not so fond of, but it's the only book I could find that started with you, and I'd read it. So it is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. So this features 2 female-female relationships. It's alright. I didn't love it. I don't think it's the best book ever. But the thing that I did love about it, there is a happily married female-female couple as the parents, and so we get to see like a family dynamic of like an LGBT family, which I think is very rare. The mums are just so cute, and this is like the story's taking place around when marriage is being legalized in the US, and so like they can finally get married, and they're so cute, the 2 mums. So it's like worth a read for them, but not the rest of the story. The rest of the story isn't that great. For V, we have Virginia Woolf. This is mainly here just because I wanted to mention Virginia Woolf, because I fucking love Virginia Woolf. This is Orlando, which I'm currently reading, and this book messes with gender quite a bit. Apparently, I'm not up to like that bit yet, but apparently like someone like switches gender in this book, and there might be queer relationships, I'm not sure, but it's mainly here just for Virginia Woolf herself, because she makes my life worth living. I love her so much. And she, like, you can't really say someone's bi if they didn't say they were bi, and you don't really have the concept of bi back then, but it sounds like that's what she was. So she was obviously married to Leonard Woolf for a very long time. They were very, very happy together. She loved him very much. But she also was seeing a woman called Vita Sackville West, who this book is dedicated to and who she loved very much. So yeah, queer women in history when you weren't allowed to be queer. That's, you know, she's great. Then for W, we have a book that I have mentioned quite a lot at this point. I did film a full review of it early this year, so I will link that somewhere if you want to watch it. But it is What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. I love this book. This book is about Arthur and Ben, who meet in New York and have like a summer where they see each other, and that's it. That's it. It's that simple, but that's all it needs to be. Simple is good. I love this book. I love the relationship in it. I love the characters in it. I love the friends in it as well. And finally we have X, Y and Z, which, as I mentioned, couldn't find any X, Y and Z, so I've just picked some books that didn't get mentioned in that pile that I enjoy. First one is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I'm actually currently rereading this because Wayward Son is coming out soon and I really want to have read it by then. In this we follow Simon and Baz. It's very similar to Harry Potter and yeah, cute relationships. I really like Baz in this book, so I'm really excited. I'm only a few pages into this so far and I remember that it takes ages for Baz to be in it and I'm just like, I really like Baz. I want him in it sooner. So I'm guessing I'm going to read this fast just to get to Baz again. But yeah, this is great. Then we have one of my favourite LGBT books of all time, which is The Colour Purple. This is also good for like feminism, black rights, and then LGBT. This is the first thing that I saw where I was like, there is a well-rounded and well-done bisexual character in there, which is cool. Basically, we follow Cece and she is a slave. We basically see all the hardships of her life and there are a lot of them and the people around her, and you know, she falls in love with a woman from like travelling band type thing, which is so cute. So there's that one. This is great. Lastly, we have a book that I only read because I was moving to Switzerland and it was set in Switzerland. I'm so glad that that ended up happening because I love it so much. And it is The Gustav Sonata by Rose Tremaine. This is an absolutely wonderful book about Gustav, who grows up in Switzerland after the Second World War. And there's a lot of struggle in here between him and his mother. His father's died. His mother's kind of like not that fond of him. But he has a friend called Anton who is quite rich. And they have very different lives, but they become close friends and we kind of like follow them as their life progresses. Like this book probably covers about 50 years. Even though it's quite short, it doesn't do it in a rushed way. So it's very lovely. Underrated LGBT book in my opinion. So that is my A to Z of LGBT books. There they all are. They're all very wonderful. I would definitely recommend picking all of them up. Go and break your bank because all of these authors are fantastic, these books are fantastic and they need some love. Thank you very much for watching. If you've read any of these, please comment down below. If you have also made this video, comment it down below because it's also just a fun video to watch, so I'd be interested to look it up. I will see you in my next video. Bye!